Opening credits. Pleased by the Tigers. Tiger Shifter Menage romance short story. By Selina Coffey. Auto-narrated using Google technology. Chapter 1. Luna Jacobson awoke from the sensual, magical world of her dreams with a start, and flung her left hand out from under the warmth of the duvet, fighting through the tangle of her long black hair wrapped around her hand. Finding the object she sought with her brown eyes closed, she turned the alarm off, and let the sudden quiet chase out the noise of the 6 a.m. alarm. Time to start the day, she thought. She longed to go back to sleep and stay in the world her brain had imagined for her while she slept, but the day awaited her. Finally summoning up some fortitude, she rolled over to her husband Ian and snuggled up to him, enjoying the warmth of his strong body. If only he could be as adventurous in real life as he was in her dreams, as adventurous as he used to be before 2 children. A mortgage and car payments turned them into the drones they now were. Banishing the disloyal thoughts and the image of the man who had joined her husband in her dreams, she unwound her arms from Ian's body, sat up and shook him awake. Time to wake up, darling. I'll check the kitties while you have your shower. Breakfast will be in 20 minutes. The same speech she gave every single morning since they'd had Brianna, their daughter. Now 2 years old, Brianna had a brother, Harry, who was 1 year old. Marriage had been fruitful for Luna and Ian, even if it hadn't been the romance novel she'd first envisioned when they wed. Trudging into the nursery, she saw that the children were tucked into the cribs, happily snoozing away, so she tromped down the carpeted stairs to their kitchen filled with state-of-the-art equipment. The kitchen had been Luna's dream, a place she could craft masterpieces of culinary delights that would leave her husband, friends, and family in awe. The only people that saw her creations now were Ian and Brianna. Harry was still on baby food. Their friends had drifted away, happy in their single lives and bored with Ian and Luna's almost hermit-like existence. Luna's parents had moved to Australia to escape the cold wintry months they would find in the aptly named Winterwood, and to spend their final years somewhere new and exciting. Luna's brother and his wife had followed Luna's parents, leaving her alone in the town. Ian's family was a mystery to Luna, his hometown only mentioned in passing, never in detail. For all she knew, Ian was sprung full-grown into the world when she met him 4 years ago. She knew zilch about his past. Pulling the coffee pot out from the machine that brewed it automatically at 6 a.m. every single morning, Luna prepared 2 cups, one with sugar and one without, started bacon and eggs cooking, and popped toast into the toaster. Ian didn't like a full breakfast, but he did like to have something in his belly. Reaching overhead to a cabinet, Luna pulled down juice glasses and plates. At 6'11", she didn't need any help reaching into the cabinets. Perhaps if I was shorter, more delicate, Ian would still be interested, she said quietly to herself, pausing as she filled the glasses with orange juice. Nah, he married me knowing I was a giant. If he'd wanted something else, he wouldn't have married me. Arranging the food-laden plates on the dining room table, the early morning light filling the room with warmth, Luna sat down and waited for her husband to join her. She sat perfectly still, no trace of thought on her face, but in her mind she was going over the chores she needed to do today, compiling a shopping list and interspersing each activity with childcare. She was still quietly plotting her day out, when Ian came down the stairs and settled his 6'4" frame into one of the delicate but expensive table chairs. The chair creaked, rudely bringing her back to the world outside of her brain, and Luna smiled at her husband, his blonde hair shining brilliantly in the morning light. He looked like an angel, even if he didn't acknowledge she was even there, his thoughts on his own day. "Have you got a difficult day ahead of you, darling?" Luna asked, hoping for a small amount of conversation before he left for work. Her husband's wonderful gray eyes were hidden as he looked down at his food, the eggs now cold. He sighed and pushed them around, finally gathering them up to eat the congealed mass with his toast. Luna was a wonderful cook, he just took too long in the shower sometimes. He didn't blame her for the state of his food. "Not too difficult, darling. 2 custom jobs and a Ducati. I should be home by 6. What's for dinner?" Ian asked, wiping his mouth with a napkin as he stood up. "I'm not sure yet. Do you prefer turkey or lasagna?" "It's up to you, really." she said.
Censored.
Her husband as he prepared to go to the luxury motorcycle repair shop he owned. It was a very lucrative business that demanded a lot of his time. Turkey, I guess. I'll text you before 12 if I change my mind, he said as he left the house, closing the door behind him. No, I love you or anything, he just left. Luna swallowed down her disappointment and cleared the plates. She scarfed down her own food while walking to the kitchen with the plates, and then took out a slice of cake from the fridge, cramming it into her mouth and chewing quickly. Soon, the feeling of being overly full replaced the hurt, and she smiled as the children woke from their sleep, the baby monitor letting her hear Brianna's chattering to Harry. Her baby's warm hugs and sleep smell would make her day all better. Moving through the supermarket, Luna's eyes traveled over the men and women she passed, her dreams of the night before returning to her in vivid detail. The man standing by avocados looked like the man that had joined her husband, as he teased her.
Censored.
Body on the sands of a moonlit beach. His hair was too light though. The woman choosing biscuits could have been the woman that had strolled along and taken her place at Luna's head, her fingers doing wicked things. Her hips were too wide and her face wrong. It was only the woman's profile that was similar. Pushing the cart filled with her children and shopping to the checkout, Luna castigated herself, telling herself she had the perfect life now. So it wasn't as exciting as she'd hoped. They weren't having
censored
every single night anymore. Ian's hands no longer strayed under a table at a restaurant to tease her, but cleaned Brianna's mouth with a napkin instead. So she was now overweight, her skin sallow, and her hair had lost its shine. That's what happened when you got married. Why she'd thought the wedding was the start of a life of
censored
escapades that would make Casanova blush, she'd never know. Brianna's birth had started the downhill slide.
Censored.
Feeding and learning to care for a child she hadn't been expecting had consumed her, and Ian had been so pleased with his child that he started working even harder to provide for his precious girl. When Harry came along, also a surprise pregnancy, Luna had welcomed him, but for Luna and Ian, the arrival of Harry had produced a wall that they couldn't find a door to get through. Ian spent all of his time at work, Luna with the house and children. Luna had tried to voice her concerns with Ian, but the time was never right, or he brushed them aside. The few times she broached the subject and he didn't brush off her concerns, they had argued. For some reason he took her concerns as insults, and the night would descend into his digging questions that somehow turned the faults around to her, not to both of them, or to something that simply needed acknowledging. Ian didn't always see that she wasn't finding fault with him, or that she wasn't blaming him, but simply pointing out that there was a problem. Even when she point-blank stated those things, he still argued with her. Her attempts at fixing the problems would fall into an argument, and Ian would demand she answer questions that were designed to make her see the problem lay solely with herself, that he didn't see any problems. He would get even angrier when she tried to get him to see reason and listen to her without the questions. He didn't fight fair, he didn't really need to fight at all. Simply tell her he loved her, but Ian didn't see that. He only saw her nitpicking, and eventually she just gave up arguing or saying anything. She swallowed her concerns and put her energies into being the perfect housewife he seemed to want now. That's why she couldn't tell him about the dreams she'd been having all week now. They were odd dreams, taking up where they'd left off that morning. Dreams of
censored
with Ian and others without Ian, in public, in private, every kind of
censored
imaginable. Luna had done things in her dreams she'd never consider in real life, but the dreams thrilled her, satisfied a need, she thought. She didn't necessarily feel guilty, but she did feel as though she were betraying Ian somehow when she woke up. Putting the groceries away and preparing the sauce for lasagna, she'd become so lost in her thoughts she'd forgotten Ian had asked for turkey. Luna wondered if it was time to ask for a divorce. This lonely existence couldn't be all there was to life, could it? Yes, she loved and adored her children, but the only adults she'd actually had anything resembling a conversation with lately had been workers at the store she went to. Small talk and chit-chat didn't count as stimulating conversation. Brianna was talking more, but she was too. What conversations could they really have that didn't involve toys, coloring, or other children's activities? As she set the sauce to simmer, Luna prepared lunch for her children, wondering how they'd react to a divorce. They were young still, they would get used to it. But maybe she was being too selfish, she wondered. Give it time, maybe when the children are older in school, she could get out more, have real conversations again. Maybe then Ian would see how the parents of the children he adored were drifting apart. Luna looked up from feeding Harry his homemade mashed carrots and chicken baby food as a knock came at the door, and the post slid through the slot in the door. Wiping Harry's face and going to the door, she sorted the mail. One envelope was longer than the others, thicker, and came from Ian's hometown. Looking at the intricate writing on the envelope, addressed to Mr. Ian Jacobson, Luna wondered who it was from. There was no return address, only a stamp, Ian's details, and time and date stamp that had the word Brightvale written on it. The paper was expensive feeling, not the average cheap envelope. Luna considered opening it, but then dismissed the idea. Ian wasn't a violent man, but he could get angry, and he was fiercely protective of his privacy. It was one of the things that had attracted her to him in the early days, how very private and mysterious he was, and over time she'd not questioned him further. She'd accidentally opened a bill of his one day early in their marriage, and he demanded to know why she'd opened it, what she'd seen of it, and told her to never open his mail again. The bills were his business, and she was to never open anything with his name on it again. This meant she rarely got to open mail, and usually had little to look forward to each day it was delivered, with the exception of holidays or birthdays for her and the children. She considered ways she could get it open without Ian noticing, but felt like the act itself would be a betrayal. He had rarely spoken about his life before moving to Winterwood, only mentioning that he was born in Brightvale, 4 hours away to the south, when they had to apply for their marriage license. She had no idea if his parents were still alive, if he had siblings, what high school he'd gone to, none of it. She'd looked around his things when he'd gone to work after they moved into the house, after the wedding, but found nothing that identified a past, only the man in the present. Setting the envelope down, she went into the kitchen, leaving the children to nap in the living room in a playpen, and prepared the lasagna. As she slid it into the oven, she thought about why she'd married Ian in the first place. The man had been fun, adventurous, and wild even. He'd brought out a good side to Luna, a normally shy, reserved person that spoke up for herself and asked for the things she wanted. They had spent hours talking with each other about a variety of topics, and she had taught him how to crochet after he lost a bet with her over who was going to win a football game. They'd gone to football matches, out to clubs, to pubs, to parks, even spending a week in Spain just before he'd proposed. They'd had a wonderful, thrilling life filled with
censored
love and laughter. All of that had changed after the wedding and the children came. They turned into two old people who could barely stand to sit in the same room with each other. Luna felt like a robot now, working on autopilot, and knew she was depressed. Another slice of cake after putting the lasagna in the oven took care of that feeling. A little while later, when she slid yeast rolls into the oven, she drowned her feeling of hopelessness and defeat in a strawberry milkshake, hiding the causes of her weight gain behind other food in the fridge. Ian only ever looked at the very front of the fridge and freezer. He never dug into the back, so he had no idea exactly how much she ate in a day. Luna preferred it that way. If the man wasn't going to give her the affection and love she needed, she was going to find ways to comfort herself. She didn't want to have an affair, so hiding her misery in food was her way of coping. When Ian came home that evening, he snatched the letter from her hand with dread, took it to his office, and asked for his food on a tray. He wasn't going to eat with the family this evening. He still hadn't come out of the office at 11 p.m. Luna went to sleep that evening still clueless about the letter's contents, but slid into her dreams happily, knowing there at least Ian loved her. Chapter 2. Luna stared out of the passenger side window of the family SUV and replayed once more the events that saw her and her family in their vehicle, heading 4 hours away from everything they'd ever known into the unknown, mysterious world of Ian's childhood. Their belongings were either in the trailer they were pulling behind the SUV or in a moving van. How exactly had this happened? It all started with that letter Ian received. Apparently it was a summons to return home. Ian informed her over his breakfast the next morning that they were moving and she needed to organize the move as quickly as possible. In fact, she had a week to organize it. Her protests and questions were brushed aside with a pat on the head as he walked out of the door. The argument that followed that night would go down as one of the worst of their relationship. Luna demanded to know what was happening, to know why she wasn't being consulted about her wishes, and threatened to divorce him if he went through with this forced relocation. The moment she spoke those words, 2 hours after the argument began, Ian deflated. Finally, she'd got through to him. He couldn't just make demands. The explanation he gave still wasn't as satisfactory as she'd have liked, but he asked her for their family, to please consider going with him because he had to go. No, he couldn't explain any more than that. All he could tell her was they needed to go. When he looked up, tears making his eyes bright, she gave in. Something was going on that she didn't know about. I promise you this will change our lives. We'll have the life you wanted, just give it time, please, Luna. He'd asked of her. Now here they were, coming into the town, a quiet, secluded country town surrounded by hills with multicolored fall foliage decorating the forest of maple trees. Luna wondered if the brightly colored foliage was the reason for the town's name. Welcome to Brightvale, the sign said as they passed it. May your time here be happy. Maybe this was what the family actually needed. Maybe this was how to improve their lives. Luna loved Ian, but the past 2 years hadn't been what she'd planned. This was a chance at a new life, a new family life, and she was going to take the chance that their time in Brightvale would be happy. Luna hoped it was, for all of their sakes. Luna and Ian took turns unloading the trailer and arranging places for the movers in the moving van to place their belongings. The children were gracious little folks and slept through most of it, perhaps subdued by their new surroundings and the long drive. A few hours later, after the sun had gone down, people started showing up. Luna took over the unpacking of the most vital items, as Ian went into the room reserved as his office and closed the door behind him to talk to the people. Each person that knocked on the door came bearing a gift, food, a house decoration, household items new in boxes, gift cards to local stores, and desserts, giving each gift to Luna with a smile and a welcome. She was so touched by their thoughtfulness that she didn't resent Ian's disappearing so much. By the time the 23rd person showed up, Luna had given up unpacking and was talking with the people waiting for their chance to speak with Ian. She also started to notice that not one person out of the whole bunch was plain. Each was fit, beautiful, and seemed to be in perfect health from a cursory inspection. Not one single person, not even the elderly, appeared to be plain, overweight, or sickly. This must be a very healthy place to live, Beth. You're all so incredibly beautiful and healthy from what I've seen. Oh, it's definitely a great place to live, and well, I guess we have good genes. I can't take credit for my looks after all, that's all my parents doing. The woman said with a bashful smile. Luna had liked the petite, blonde-haired woman immediately. Beth had children the same age as Brianna and Harry, so they'd already arranged a play date for them, and Beth had offered to show her around town. Ian already had a job lined up, so he was off to work again in the morning. The number of people dwindled down, until only Beth was left, and Luna's curiosity got the best of her. She padded to the door over the thick carpet on the floor, and stuck her ear to the door as Beth began to speak to Ian. She couldn't hear much, but she heard words such as, loyalty as our leader, fealty, and lay down my life to protect you, your family, and our clan. Luna pulled her head back, a look of confusion on her face. What the hell? She whispered quietly. What had she walked into now? An hour later, the house was quiet, except for the sound of Ian settling furniture into his office. Luna had taken a shower, put on a nightgown, and was settling objects into their upstairs bedroom. Her hand found one of their framed wedding photographs, happiness and love shining through even in a picture, and she stopped. The more recent picture, already on there,
censored,
of drawers showed a woman that had apparently lost the will to live. The woman in the wedding picture was young, vibrant, and lovely. The one in the recent picture was sallow, her hair graying at the roots, clearly overweight and unhappy. Looking into the mirror on the wall, Luna saw the prematurely gray roots had spread. Her skin looked even more sallow, and more weight had piled on. Yeah, it was time to sort this, she thought, making a mental note to ask Beth who the best hairdresser in town was. A new home, a new start. Luna wanted to start off on the right foot. Looking like one of the walking dead, amongst the land of the beautiful and healthy, was simply not going to work. The next morning she sent Ian off to his new job, called Beth and arranged a meeting, and prepared the kids for an adventure in their new hometown. She met Beth at the hairdresser, and between Beth and other ladies in the salon, Luna was able to get a new hairstyle and her roots colored in without much fuss. They had lunch, and it was then that Luna started to notice people whispering behind their hands while looking at her. The same people that had been so pleasant the night before were now watching her, as if they found her lacking. Oh, don't mind them, they're just protective over one of their own. You're the mother of Ian's children, they'll soon adore you as much as I already do. I hope so. I had so few friends in Winterwood, that my life there was lonely beyond imagining. Luna looked abashed as she realized how desperate she sounded, and looked away. I don't know why I said that to you. I'm not normally so open, she finished with a laugh. I think you've had a tough few years, Luna. You've made a move to a new place, you have no idea who any of us are or what we're like, and you have 2 little ones to worry over. I at least have my mother to take mine when I need a break. You've not had that in 2 years. It's understandable you're nervous. Don't worry, relax and let Brightvale work its magic on you. Because it will. It happens to all of us. Beth reassured Luna, taking her hand and patting it. I hope so. We could use a complete change in our lives, and this is our chance. Thank you for coming out with me this morning. It's been amazing just getting my hair done. Get used to it. We can do this whenever you want to, just give me a call, all right? Beth said with a sweet smile, her blue eyes happy. Ian noticed the new hairstyle and coloring, but still went to his office directly after supper, leaving her to spend yet another evening alone. She'd wanted to ask him about his job, about what exactly it was he was doing, and a million other questions, but he quietly shut the door, letting her know to leave him in peace. It might take time, Luna reminded herself. Stop those tears right now. It's just going to take some time. In the middle of the night, Luna woke up from the dreams that continued to haunt her nights, and went down for a glass of water. She knew she wasn't going to get back to sleep right away, especially with the obnoxious snoring coming from Ian's side of the bed, and wandered around, studying the surroundings. Their house was located on the town's main street, a 2-story Victorian monstrosity that Luna loved instantly. The house made up for the lack of a large garden, and she loved to sit in the gables upstairs, looking down on her neighbors as they went through their days. Luna walked back up to the children's nursery, and sat in the rocking chair she'd placed in front of the gable. She watched the moon rising over the homes, and thought how peaceful it all looked. Something passed quickly under a street lamp and caught her eye. Watching as the creature moved out from the darkness into the light, Luna saw that it was a tiger. All right, I'm still dreaming then. Luna thought to herself, watching the creature slow down as it neared her home, then looked up at the window she was staring out of. She ducked away, hoping the creature wasn't now going to appear in front of her. Weird things happened in dreams after all, and tiptoed quickly back to her bed, hoping the dream would change as she pulled the covers over her head. She was soon back to sleep, dreaming of a very hot man joining Ian in their bed. Luna, where are you, sweetheart? Ian called. The weekend meant he was home. That was something new. He'd usually worked most weekends before they'd moved to Brightvale. Now he was often home on the weekends. I'm back here trying to get this washing machine to spin these clothes out. They're soaking wet still. Luna responded, her frustration rising. Because she didn't know anything about their finances, about Ian's new job, she didn't know if they could afford a new washing machine. She was also tired. She'd been up wandering around the house again last night, sleepwalking she had to assume, and she'd seen 2 tigers this time. Tigers 2 nights in a row. She had to be sleepwalking. Something made her hold back from telling Ian, however, some fear that he'd think she was crazy. Now, with a basket full of sopping wet clothes, She just wanted to fall down on the floor and cry. "Honey, why are you doing this? Put those down. Come on, follow me. It's time I tell you a few things," Ian said, the compassion and concern in his voice bringing the threatened tears to her eyes at last. For some reason Luna couldn't explain, she started sobbing as she took Ian's hand and followed him into his office. He sat on his desk, a dark oak monstrosity from the dark ages, and pulled her to him, making soothing noises and brushing her back. The comfort was so unexpected that the wall holding in all of the anger, hurt, despair, confusion, and everything else that she'd swallowed over the last couple of years broke, and she just clung to Ian, sobbing as the tears flowed and her breath hitched in her throat. "SSH, darling, stop that. You've been so strong, don't fall apart now. Not when we're finally getting to the good part." Ian
censored
her forehead, wiping her face as the sobs slowed. "You really don't have to do this, darling. Come on, sit down now. Let's have a talk." I'm sorry, let me get a tissue." Luna reached around him to get a tissue from the box on his desk, before sitting on the leather couch in front of a window. Ian soon joined her there. He took her hands in his and started to speak. "I know the last few years, well, the last couple of years have been torture, but there are things about me you obviously do not know. I've hidden things I've tried to run away from but I couldn't. I've put it off since we've been here because I just don't know where to start. I always meant to tell you, but I just kept putting it off. I would have had to eventually. You're going to start noticing things about the children, things that won't make sense." "Wait, is something wrong with them?" Luna's alarms were going off, and she had to bite down on the urge to run to check on her babies. "No, they're perfectly healthy children. They just aren't quite what you think they are." Ian had the good grace to look almost ashamed at this point. "Ian Jacobson, you tell me what's going on right now?" "What the hell do you mean they aren't what I think they are?" Luna demanded to know. "Well, honey, you've been seeing tigers at night, right?" he asked, as if commenting on something she hadn't been panicking about. "What? Tigers? No, what are you talking about?" She tried to play it off. "You have. They know you're there watching and they've reported it to me," Ian said, again as if this were a normal conversation. "How?" Luna demanded. "How do they know I'm there? It's dark in here. And wait, report it to you? What the hell is going on, Ian?" "Well, babe, prepare yourself." Ian blinked once, and then he disappeared into a pile of clothes. Luna shrieked and ran behind the table as the pile of clothes began to squirm. She rushed to put the office chair between her and the tiger emerging from the pile of clothes, one pants leg clinging to its massive head. Yellow eyes blinked at her, as one giant paw reached out to her as if asking for her hand to hold. The big cat, seeing that she was terrified, sat back on its haunches and let its
censored
loll out. Luna stared at the tiger, looking for any sign of Ian. Slowly, very slowly, she came out from behind the desk. The cat shook its head as if to signal her closer, and stupidly she followed the direction. The loud purring the cat emitted as she stroked its silky fur kind of freaked Luna out, but she kept the stroking up, the motion soothing her until she remembered cats would sometimes purr even when they were in the process of killing another animal. Stepping away from the creature, her brain quickly processed that this was apparently Ian. He was one of the elusive shifters she'd heard whispers of years ago then. She'd brushed the whispers off. She'd never actually met one, so she assumed it was some strange furry fetish thing. Luna wasn't interested in that lifestyle, so she dismissed it. This was taking the furry lifestyle to an entirely new level. "Well then, Ian, if you're in there and you can hear me, please shift back now. I think I deserve some answers." She sat back down on the couch, the memory of the feel of Ian's tiger fur still fresh in her mind. The fur was as silky as his hair, she thought. Her husband reappeared, albeit much more
censored
than when she'd last seen him, and he slipped his pants back on before sitting beside her. "So that's part one, the hardest part, I guess. Is this the part where you tell me you want to divorce?" "No, Ian, but I do wish you'd have told me. This means the kids can shift too, doesn't it?" Luna said after a long pause. "More than likely. Definitely Brianna, she's already showing signs of it." I'm not sure about Harry yet, though. All right. What's the rest of it then? She was waiting for virgin sacrifices, anything now. Shock was probably settling in, she thought. She felt far calmer than she should. Well, my father died last month. He was the leader of our clan. I've taken his place as his heir. We're now worth billions. Oh, and you're the leader of the women, as my wife. What? She could have sworn he'd said something about billionaires, and something about being a leader. Her? No, not hardly. We have more money in the bank that we could ever spend. Get a new washer, get 2 or 10, hire a cleaner to come in and do it for you. You can do whatever you like. And you're the leader of the women of the clan now. He said as calmly and clearly as he could. He was trying not to laugh as her jaw dropped further down her.
Censored.
Ian, why did you never tell me about any of this? I can't be a leader, I'm not cut out for it. But Beth definitely is. You'll get used to it, darling, I promise. Ian.
Censored.
Her on the top of the head as he pulled her into his lap, relief washing through him. And yeah, why didn't I tell you? I think I just got lost in my own lie. I never wanted to come back here, you see? I was going to find a way to stop this whole tiger thing, live a normal life and be happy with that. I didn't want to be like my father, 3 wives, 1 child, and unhappy. When I realized how very much I loved you, I just wanted to have a normal life. I ignored it all, but I kept meaning to tell you. Then we were married, and I didn't want to lose you. Then you got pregnant, and that terrified me. I didn't know what was going to come out of you, and I was certain I was about to be found out. Then Harry came along. In between that, the bills, and trying to get that shop off of the ground, I never got around to it. When we started arguing, I knew I had to tell you, but I just couldn't then. I was terrified of losing everything I'd worked so hard for. Of losing you and the kids. So I just kept it all hidden, and I realize now that so many of our problems came from me not being honest with you. The last few weeks have been nerve-wracking as well. I've been terrified someone would let slip before I could tell you. Wow. That's a lot to take in. So what does being a billionaire leader of a shifter clan entail? She was still trying to let this all sink in. It means I am king here, my dear, and you are my queen. We can have and do whatever we want. That's the only reason we came back. I couldn't stand seeing the sadness stealing your will to live anymore. I was helpless to stop it before, but now I can give you the world on a diamond-encrusted platter, throw that one away, and give you another world on another platter. Are we talking super yacht rich, or the kind of yacht people don't even know exists because it has its own cloaking mechanism? She asked with a straight face. Well, I'm guessing the second one. What made you think of yachts? He asked, confused. I want a yacht. I want to sail the world when the kids are grown. Maybe even before. When they start school, we could homeschool them and sail. Yeah, I like that. Are these your demands? He asked, smothering a laugh, but his lips quirked in a way she hadn't seen in years. It melted her heart to see that again after so long. They are, she said in a serious way, but then she launched herself at her husband, happier than she'd been in a long time and full of relief. It was going to be all right. Chapter 3. A month later, and Luna was starting to notice her clothes were loose, her skin was improving, and so was her relationship with her husband. He told her not to lose too much weight this morning. In fact, he liked the new softness she had after the babies were born, the fullness of her hips. He just never had the energy to show her that. But oh boy, did he have it now. It had to be the influence of Brightvale. Luna was on her way to one of the local boutiques, the children with Beth in a playgroup, and she smiled as she passed her new neighbors. They all smiled back but quickly ducked together, still whispering all this time later. Luna shook her head and went into the shop, knowing she was right on time for her appointment. Hello, Mrs. Jacobson, so glad you could come. Tea? Coffee? A glass of wine, perhaps? The slim woman with severely cut white hair asked. She was rather fashionably dressed though, so Luna knew this woman would know what was best for her. "Just some water, please, thank you." "What have you got for me today then?" "Well, there are several events coming up in town, one in just a few days in fact. With that in mind, I've picked quite a few different things that should complement your figure and display those wonderful assets of yours. I so wish I could gain a little bit of weight," the woman said with a commiserating smile. Luna had almost felt insulted at the beginning of the woman's speech, but now she realized weight was a pendulum that swung both ways. She felt she'd met a kindred spirit. "It's a battle, isn't it? You weigh too much, you don't weigh enough. We can't just be happy with how we are, and that's just sad," Luna responded. "It is, but Brightvale somehow knows what's best for us. You'll see," the woman assured her and went to fetch the clothes. Once she returned, she displayed the clothes and Luna tried each on. An electric blue frock made of silk, a black silk pantsuit that made her look incredible, lingerie and shoes to match each outfit, and some day clothes. Far more expensive than anything she'd ever bought, but worth every penny. The clothes were put on an account Ian had set up for her, and she left the store, astonished at what she was walking out with. "Mrs. Jacobson?" She heard the saleswoman call her back. "Your husband ordered these especially, I forgot to tell you. I hope you enjoy them all, and if you need any alterations, just let us know. We'll be happy to assist. Good day." The woman left Luna with a bag filled with boxes. Curious to see what Ian had requested, she settled into her car, opening the boxes before she even managed to get home. Black leather greeted her, a skirt, a top, and black fishnet stockings. She would not be wearing much in the way of lingerie under this, but there was a black lace thong. She also found a pair of very deadly-looking stilettos. A note inside one of the boxes read, "We're going to a very special celebration Friday. Wear this." She could not wear this in public. There was no way. But she could certainly model it for him tonight, she thought with a wicked grin. She'd lined her dark eyes with kohl, her lips with a dark red smudge-proof lipstick, and she'd blown her hair dry into a wild mane that would either elicit an urge to run your fingers through it and make it wilder, or hand her a comb. She was hoping for the first one. She slipped into the thong, the stockings, the skirt, and then the top that was little more than a bra that clasped around her neck. Looking into the mirror, she slipped into the shoes and completed the look. Daddy's little kitten was now a full-grown tigress, she thought. Smirking, she waited for the sound of Ian's car before slowly descending the steps, knowing she'd meet him at the door. The kids were staying the night with Beth, and she had dinner delivered, sushi and rice, a simple, sexy dinner that could be eaten at any point. Hopefully he wasn't hungry now, though. She stopped as he opened the door, halfway down the stairs. She hoped the look on her face exuded confidence and a sultriness she hadn't felt in years but now did. Instead of highlighting the fact that she was still overweight, the outfit highlighted just how pert her
censored
still were, and the enticing swell of her bottom. She knew he liked it when he stopped in the doorway, his jaw gaping open. Wow. That is far sexier than I thought it was going to be. You look hot, babe," Ian said, letting her slink down the stairs to meet him at the door where her arms wrapped around his neck and her lips pressed to his. "I hope you're ready for a long night of no children, and just your wife to entertain you," she whispered against his lips breathlessly. "Oh, I'm ready, baby, so very ready," Ian said as he pushed her back against the steps, bracing himself over her to lean down and
censored
her. She grinned up at him as his mouth slowly descended to hers. He was still trying to take in just how gorgeous his wife was. "So hot," he murmured as their lips met, a fire exploding between them.
This scene has been censored to provide a safe and enjoyable reading experience for everyone.
Chapter 4. What is so special about tonight, Beth? I know it's a ceremony to give Ian his full rights as leader of the clan, but why do we have to dress like full-blown skanks to do that? Although I do have to admit that dress is brilliant on you. Beth wore a deep red silk halter gown, designed to just slip away with a wiggle and a release of the snaps at her neck. She had a wrap to go with it, in case the night was too chilly, but Luna knew there was going to be a bonfire as well, so she wasn't panicking about being cold too much. On second thought, looking in the mirror, maybe she did need to take the new black leather coat Ian had delivered this morning, with a note daring her to be brave. 2 days after their
censored
life had suddenly been reborn, she thought she'd give it a go. Just this once, at least, for him. No children tonight might mean more of the same.
censored
They'd enjoyed that night. The town's children were being cared for by the teenagers and the elderly, so that the adults could kick up their heels and have a good time without worrying too much about the safety of their children. Ian and Luna's children were happy enough and loved Beth's children, so Luna was content with leaving them for now. You'll see, darling, you'll see. Don't be so anxious. If you're adventurous enough to wear that, I doubt you're going to mind what happens tonight. Beth said with a promising smile, her hand lingering on Luna's face. Oh my. Luna whispered, anew,
censored
starting low in her stomach. What did this mean? Come on now, let's get down there before the fun starts without us, Beth said, pulling Luna with her. They were late, and most of the ceremony was over by the time they got down to the town center, but Luna slowed as she got close to the stage. Who's that man with Ian? Luna gulped. It was one of the men from her dreams and the main one Ian shared her with. That's my husband, Alex. He's the sheriff. They've been best friends since grade school, and he was ever so happy when Ian came back. Luna thought a dirty word that very rarely crossed her lips, and looked around the square. People were drinking out of plastic cups, laughing and dancing as the ceremony ended, and Ian came to the microphone. The music playing was turned down, and Ian smiled, spotting his wife in the crowd finally. The last part of tonight's ceremony has yet to be completed. It is my duty, Ian broke off, giving Luna a worried look, to now couple with any woman that demands it of me. In this way I am joined with the clan, and the clan is joined with me. We will be a unit, a whole. Luna gasped, anger filling her but then flowing away as she looked around at the cheering people of the town. This wasn't what she was raised to believe in, but it is how things were done here. It was also what she'd been dreaming of. And she knew now that if she demanded it, Ian would stop. She thought about how thrilling her dreams were, about how hard she got off in those dreams watching him, and knew she had to give it a chance. Women were already lining up, pulling Ian down closer to the bonfire.
This scene has been censored to provide a safe and enjoyable reading experience for everyone.
She needed water, and someone handed her a bottle. She needed her husband, and he was there, holding her, telling her of how beautiful she was. And Beth was there, whispering to Luna about how pleased she was that Luna was truly joined with the clan now. Luna couldn't keep her eyes opened and slept as her laughing husband, pleased with the world, carried her home and to their bed. Luna would have liked to have had more time with the clan, to have watched more of the orgy taking place, but she simply couldn't hold her eyes open anymore. Luna didn't even wake when Ian carried her into the shower, gently washing them both clean before carrying her to their bed to join her in sleep, holding her in his arms the entire night. A month later, Luna and Ian watched as Brianna shifted for the first time, her tiny tiger cub form as beguiling and cute as her human infant form. Can she turn back without help? Luna asked, concerned for her daughter. Yes, when she's done playing. I think our next leader has just presented herself. Normally it follows the male line, but we rarely have cubs shifting so early. Our daughter is strong, however, and already showing off. I expect the clan will choose her. Choose? There's a choice? Oh yes, the clan wanted me for the same reason, though I tried to avoid it. And once you're chosen, you can turn it down, but you'll wither until you die an early death if you're young. If she's chosen, she can make her own choice, but it will come at a price. Ian looked grim for a moment, but then his face cleared. It will be her choice, but she'll make it knowing the consequences. Brianna, still a playful tiger cub, bounced in her mother's lap as her mother taunted her with a bit of string and played happily unaware of her future choice. Do you think Harry will shift? Luna asked. He's still young, he may not shift until he's 13. If he hasn't shifted by 14, it will be safe to assume he won't. If we have any other children, their chances are the same, 50-50. Sometimes it passes down in unions like ours, sometimes not. Anyway, Are you ready for tonight? Ian said, quickly changing the subject. I'll tell you if you explain why everyone used to whisper about me. Luna responded. Ah, they were just all wondering how brave you were and trying to decide who was going to get to have a chance with you. Those dreams you've been having the last few months made that decision long ago, though. Alex and Beth demanded to be the first. I wish I'd have had the energy to make some of those dreams come true for you before we moved, but I'm glad it happened here first. It made you a part of the clan. Luna was shocked to find her husband had known about the dreams as well, but in her new world didn't question how he knew about them. So tonight it's anyone's go. Anyone you choose, my love? This isn't a thing where women submit, rather the men submit and take only what we're allowed. Women have the control, not the men, darling. Always. Over the last month, they discussed the events of his inauguration night over and over, but this was the first she knew of Ian knowing about her dreams. Both had agreed the event had changed them, but for the better. Luna had loved watching her husband F and get F'd, and Ian had felt the same. Oddly, Luna felt that they were closer now, more understanding, and kinder to each other since sharing the experience. Ian felt that Luna had given in to her future, had begun the first step to becoming the leader of the females in their tiger clan, and adored her for her devotion. Luna could see that Ian could devote himself to her, to his family, and to his clan, as long as he had her by his side. Where there had once been division, resentment, and anger, a deeper devotion, love, and friendship now existed. Their lives had to change to be a part of the clan, but this had not driven them apart, it had driven them together. Luna and Ian were happy at last. There were no more secrets, there was no more hurt, and their lives were shared. Ian helped at the house now that he had time to, and spent much more time showing his wife and children just how much love and appreciation he had for them. Luna had threatened to divorce Ian over this move, but it turned out to the best decision he'd ever made, forcing her hand and facing his own past. Brightvale really had brought them happiness and a completion they didn't know existed. Have you got any specific plans for tonight then? Ian asked, a teasing glint in his eye. Luna smiled at her husband, his hopeful expression spurring her to tease him. Oh yes, Beth and I have plans for tonight, my love. But you'll have to wait to find out what they are. Then she trotted away, baby Brianna now a human baby again in her arms to prepare herself for the night ahead while Ian cared for Harry. She knew the night was going to be wild enough to match her tiger shifter's heart. Thank you for reading my book. If you like this story, I think you'll enjoy my book Shift Quickie. A big favor to ask. I would really love it if you could take a few seconds to leave me a review. Thank you so much in advance. About the author. Selina Coffey is a romance writer who lives happily in London with her husband and son. She is a hopeless romantic who grew up always believing in love, and she is not ashamed to admit this. It is this belief that makes her so passionate about writing crazy love stories. A stereotypical girly girl, she loves shopping. So whenever she gets a chance and the spare cash, you will probably find her browsing online for the next pair of shoes to add to her collection. You can find her online at www.selinacoffey.com. Contact her at hello@selinacoffey.com. Closing credits. This has been Pleased by the Tigers. Written by Selina Coffey. Auto-narrated using Google technology. Copyright 2024 by Lovey Books Limited. Production copyright 2024 by Lovey Books Limited.